Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome students for the chemistry session. Today we'll be learning about atoms and molecules. Okay. So we know what are atoms. What are those? They are the building blocks of matter, right? Atoms are building blocks of matter. Now matter is what? Anything that has mass, anything that has mass and occupies space. Right, this is matter. We also know that cell is a basic building block of life forms, right? Different organisms are made up of cells. Just like that, matter is made up of smaller particles, what we call them as atoms. Now these atoms, if we are going to zoom that atoms and see, so if you take this dot, after a sentence we give a full stop. Now how small is that full stop? Okay, are you able to measure that? Like the scale starts from 1 centimeter. It's very small, it is less than 1 centimeter. If you take this from 0 to 1, this is 1 centimeter. How small it is, right? So if you are going to measure this, we know it is very small. So atoms are smaller than this. Even a small grain of sand. If you just take a small grain of sand, you know how small it will be. So atoms are smaller than those things. So without microscope we cannot see atoms. That means we cannot see through our naked eyes. Right? So now then, how does we know that atoms are made up of subatomic particles? Okay, if you see the structure of an atom, we know that as per the Bohr model, atom is having the central nucleus, right? This is comprising of what? Just think. It is made up of shells. Okay, these are the shells. So this is nucleus. Nucleus is made up of what? Protons. What are the charge of protons? It is positively charged. Then it is also having neutrons. Neutrons. These are what? Do they have any charge? No. They are neutral. Neutral. So this is neutral. They do not have any charge. So this together, proton and neutron together, we call them as nucleus. Right? Now what are these? These are nothing but orbits. These are orbits in which what is going to move around? Electrons. We find electrons moving in the orbit. So these are electrons. Now what charge do these electrons have? They are negatively charged. Okay, now this is the structure of atom. It has a central nucleus. Surrounding that nucleus you find this orbits where the electrons revolve around. Now that means atom is made up of what? Subatomic particles. Atomic particles. Now what are these subatomic particles? One is protons, which is positively charged, neutron. Then second is it is made up of electrons, which are negatively charged. So these are the subatomic particles. Now, what do you understand by atomic number? The number of protons. So this is equal to what? Atomic number. We know this, right? Now, if you consider this atom, whatever we have seen the structure of an atom, if we see this entire structure, we know that the number of protons, so the number of protons which is positively charged will be equal to what? The number of electrons. So, if protons are equal to number of electrons, that means the positive sign which is present in the proton is equal to the negative sign which is present in electrons. So what happens when you take positive and negative equal in mathematics? We see that atom as a whole is electrically neutral. Electrically it is neutral. Now, number of protons is also equal to number of electrons. This is equal to number of electrons. Now, this number of electrons, if we see this electron is negatively charged. Now, if you take an example of hydrogen, okay, this is element hydrogen. So this is H is the symbol of hydrogen. This is symbol of hydrogen. Now what is the name of element? Hydrogen. Hydrogen. Now let's find what is the atomic number of hydrogen. So if you see this hydrogen, this is the symbol. So if I write here 1, that means this 1 represents atomic number. So we know atomic number is equal to number of protons, right? And these protons are equal to number of electrons. So as a whole, an atom is neutral. So next, if you take one more example, carbon. Okay, this carbon, what is the atomic number for this carbon? So if you see, carbon is having 6. So 6 is the atomic number. So that means how many protons it has? Atomic number is 6. Atomic number should be equal to number of protons. So how many protons it has? 6. So this way we can find the number of protons by knowing the atomic number. Next, what do you mean by mass number? Let us see. Atomic mass. Now what is atomic mass? It is nothing but the number of neutrons plus protons. This we take carbon. So we know carbon. P is how much for carbon? It is 6 plus neutrons we don't know. What is the mass? Mass of carbon is 12. Okay, mass is number of protons plus number of neutrons. We know number of protons. We know what is the mass. Now how do you find the number of neutrons? So 12, bring this the other side, 12 minus 6. That means how many neutrons it has? It has 6 neutrons. Okay, this is how you are going to find. Similarly, can you find the mass of sodium? Number of protons 11, mass number is, we don't know. Number of neutrons how many? So if sodium is given as 11, so you need to by heart the mass number of few elements. Okay, in this case I will give you the mass of sodium, which is 23. So we know mass, atomic mass equals the number of protons plus neutrons, right? So here we know the mass, which is 23. So this is the mass. We need to find number of neutrons. So that means 23 minus 11. It's going to give you how much? Minus 11 is 12 neutrons. Now next is valency. So valency is what? The combining capacity of element. Okay, now we know that few elements they exist in free state, few elements they exist in combined state. Okay, depending upon their combining capacity, how one atom combines with another atom to form molecules, and molecules are going to form compounds. So that means if you take this as an atom, this is the atom of hydrogen. If I take one more atom of hydrogen, these are the two atoms of hydrogen. They both are of same size, okay? So I'll make this also big. So they both are of same size. So this atom, one atom of hydrogen is going to react with one more atom of hydrogen to form a molecule. Now which molecule is formed? H2. Okay, now these two together they form a bond, and this will be hydrogen 1 and hydrogen 2. This is what? Molecule, right? Now since they have taken atoms of same elements, hydrogen, one atom of hydrogen and one more atom of hydrogen. So they are molecules of what? Elements. They are molecules of elements. Okay. Now if you are going to take one more example, if I take water as an example, water is what? H2O. We know how it is formed. So how many elements are there in this? This is what I will give the name as compound. Now how this H2O is formed? You have how many hydrogens? 2 hydrogens, right? So 2 hydrogens and how many oxygens? There are 1 oxygen. Okay, now total number of atoms here? 3 atoms, right? Are the atoms same? We know hydrogen is different element, oxygen is different elements, and they are going to combine in a fixed ratio. That means if water formula is H2O, you take water from any source. It could be river, it could be tap, it could be within India, outside India. It will always have 2 of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen atom. This ratio is fixed. If you are going to change to 3, H3, H4, O2 something, then it is not going to form water. The compound is totally different. So always water will have H2O.